So this is an update to the review on our blog about the Kidd single stage trigger group. And we were talking about the fact that there's sometimes an issue because the hammer strut, when the hammer is cocked, sticks out a little bit past the back of the trigger group, which does not happen with the Ruger OEM trigger group. And what happens is that hammer strut sticking out can contact the inside of the stock and prevent the hammer from cocking properly, and that prevents the trigger from resetting. So I'm going to do a little experiment here to see if we can cure that. I have replicated the problem in this stock, and I know that that is what the problem is. I'm going to mark where the strut sticks out with a little bit of grease. I'm going to decock the hammer, wipe off the excess grease. I'm going to put the trigger group inside the rifle, and you can see with the hammer decocked, the trigger group fits perfectly flush against the inletting in the stock. Now I'm going to cock the hammer by hand, and you'll see that the trigger group will push slightly forward, and that's because that hammer strut is coming back and contacting the stock. So now, I don't know if you can see the little gap there. There's about a 1/16 of an inch gap between the trigger group and the inletting in the stock. Now with a little luck, that grease that I put there will tell me where I have to relieve the stock, and it does. You get a close-up right there. See a little spot of grease? That's where I need to take my Dremel tool and dimple out about 1/8 of an inch deep and maybe 1/4 of an inch wide. A little bit of relief in the stock there to make room for that hammer strut. So now you can see pretty clearly the little spot of grease that we have on the stock inletting. So I'm going to take my Dremel tool with a round carving bit. I'm going to turn it on very slowly. And I'm just going to carefully relieve that. You want to work slowly and test fit often. So now we're going to test fit it. It looks like it might be good enough. The hammer is cocked, and we seem to be in the stock. Now I'm going to have to reassemble the rifle and test fire it in order to see if this worked, so we'll be back in a few minutes. So I had to do a little more shaving, and now you can see that the hammer is cocked and there's no more gap between the back of the trigger group and the inletting. I think this is going to function just fine from now on. Hope this was helpful.